All right, what's going on, guys? Farzin Vasugian here with you on Facebook and YouTube on a Tuesday night. And we are getting closer and closer to the playoffs. Very excited about Saturday's game. I keep wanting to say Sunday's game, but no, it is indeed a Saturday game. The Chiefs are going to be playing on Peacock. Yes, Peacock. I'm sure there are going to be a lot of complaints about that. I think I've answered the question several times on what channel it'll be locally. I'm sure I'll answer that many more times. But nonetheless, the Chiefs do have a playoff game this Saturday against the Miami Dolphins. And here with me, Mark Van Seckel from KCMO. Mark, what's going on, brother?
Hey, not too much, man. Just hanging out, ready for another Chiefs playoff game because, you know, that's been a thing that we do every year with Patrick Mahomes, especially home playoff games. So,
well, I was told this was a bad year for the Chiefs, that they were going to make it. It was going to be a long season. And now I'm being told that they're going to be one and done. But the people who said that are now picking the Chiefs.
Yeah, the Chargers were going to win the division again, right?
Yeah. The eighth straight offseason AFC West victors. So congratulations to the Chargers. By the way, did you see their general manager is interviewing for the Raiders GM, or their former GM is interviewing for the Raiders job?
Really? I did not see that.
I'm like, please hire him. Please hire him.
Every time somebody starts talking about the Chargers, like when the Chiefs beat the Chargers last week, right? They're like, oh, the Chargers are going to get the fifth pick now. They're going to get Marvin Harrison Jr. and he's going to destroy us, just like Quentin Johnston did this year, right? Or just like Mike Williams, who's hurt every year, does. I just don't see it.
You know what's funny is I get some comments from non-Chiefs fans on my Facebook page. They're like, yeah, well, my team's not in it, but we're going to have a higher draft pick. It's like, what? You realize, like one of them is a Patriots fan. Obviously, when you make that comment, I have to assume you've never heard of Tom Brady and the fact that he was the 199th pick in the draft. Oh, by the way, you want to talk about draft placement? Tell that to Creed Humphrey, 2nd round pick, Nick Bolton, 2nd round pick, Trey Smith, 6th round pick, Isaiah Pacheco, almost undrafted. Like, the Chiefs do not give a flying shit about draft positioning. Come on.
I know they can really hit on wherever they're at. And I know some people were mad they picked FAU in the first round last year, but I mean, there's just guys ahead of them right now. So they can pick whoever they want, wherever they want, and make it work.
Listen, let me I'm glad you brought that up. The FAU thing right now, could the Chiefs have maybe used someone else in the first, brought in someone else with that first round pick? Yes. But I think in the future, we will look back and say this was a really good pick. And as you said, he's got some guys ahead of him. Charles Omenihu coming back from suspension. He's obviously taken away some snaps from FAU, but I think, down the line, we will look back and say it was a good pick. I know that's not easy to do right now with the offensive woes. But I think at the end of the day, it's it will look back and say it was a good pick. Listen, D Ford was the same thing. I know D Ford is remembered for one infamous moment, but when he was drafted, who was he behind? Tamba Hali and Justin Houston. And then what happened? When Tamba Hali was dealing with injuries, Justin Houston was getting hurt at times. D Ford started playing more, and he was actually a Pro Bowl caliber pass rusher. He had double-digit sacks on multiple occasions. So, yeah, the Chiefs don't care about that draft positioning.
And you look at who they got after that. They got Rashee Rice. So if they wouldn't have taken they would have got probably a receiver at the end of the first round, maybe a left tackle, but they got Wanya Morris, who's been pretty good until he got a concussion last week. So, I mean, they could have their wide receiver and their left tackle that you wanted in the first round, but they just got them later. So, yeah, it's all how you look at things.
You know what's a funny conversation about draft positioning? I don't know if you've ever looked at those redo mock drafts that a lot of blogs and websites like to do now. It's funny because when they do a 2013 redo mock draft, guess who goes number 1 overall? Travis Kelce. Well, who had the number 1 pick that year? Same team he got drafted by, Kansas City. So, those obviously, if you redo the 2017 draft, obviously Mahomes goes to a completely different team, but that's a topic for an alternate timeline that we can get into one of these days. I do want to jump into the Chiefs Dolphins. let's start here. The fact that it's going to be cold as hell. Are you going to the game first of all?
No, I'm actually. We can bring this talk about it later, but I'm supposed to be up in Iowa. So that Peacock thing you were talking about, I'm gonna have to get my brother-in-law to download Peacock so that I can actually watch the game up there. If we go, okay. There might be more snow. Right. I don't know.
I actually did want to get into that. We'll get into that at the end of it. So this is an interesting stat. I've seen a lot of people point this out. CBS Sports, ESPN in South Florida also pointed this out. The Dolphins have lost their last 10 games when the weather is below 40 degrees. Look, I don't know how you feel about this, and I'll get your thoughts in a second. But to me, when you bring up temperature and warm weather teams, listen, these guys have played from college and other NFL games. They've played in cold. I mean, listen, Tyreek Hill played here for a long time. Now, do they get acclimated and get used to where they are right now? Yeah, that plays a role for sure. But listen, I remember the Chiefs and Dolphins played a game in 2008, and I think it was like 2 degrees, and that was considered the second coldest game in Chiefs history at the time. And the Dolphins won in a shootout. It was Tyler Thigpen versus Chad Pennington. Now, yes, Chad Pennington had played in New York a long time, but I kind of feel like this is a little bit of an overrated aspect of the game. Do you agree or disagree?
I would generally agree with you on that. However, when you look at Tua's history from Hawaii, goes to Alabama, plays all his games in the SEC in the South. Miami Dolphins, whenever they go play at Buffalo or New England, whatever, they're not winning those games. So there is something to it, I think, with Tua. I guess they had a shootout with the Patriots, I think, at the end of last season in New England, but that was when Skylar Thompson, the former K-State quarterback, was playing quarterback for the Dolphins. So I think Tua in the cold weather is not going to be the Tua that can throw it for 400 yards. I mean, the Chiefs defense wouldn't let him do that anyway, but that's another thing with the cold weather. The Chiefs defense should be able to thrive even more than what they have this year against this offense, in my opinion.
Well, here's a very important stat to go along with what you said. And I pointed out a very similar stat in terms of his overall career since being in the NFL when the Chiefs and Dolphins were getting ready to play in Germany. And this is far more relevant right now because we can just use more recent stats, as in the 2023 season stats. Tua is 1-5, or the Dolphins, I should say, they're 1-5 when Tua gets sacked 3 or more times. One of those games being against Kansas City this year. So, man, you have Chris Jones. Okay. You also have George Karlaftis. You have Mike Dan. I know he's been quiet lately, but he's a key guy. Leo Chenal, he's gotten after the quarterback a lot this year when he's had opportunities. Charles Omenihu, who we mentioned, FAU. Malik Herring looked good last week. Maybe he gets a little more playing time in this game because of how good he looked last week. I don't know. We'll see. You got a lot of guys on this defensive line, Mark, and a couple linebackers who like to get in there as well. And let's not forget about guys like Justin Reed, Trent McDuffie, guys they like to use from the secondary to come in and go after the quarterback. Get the 3 sacks, and the odds of winning are heavily in your favor in this one.
Yeah, he doesn't like the pressure. They try to scheme up so that they get the ball out of his hands faster. So that's what in the last game against the Dolphins, they were trying to do that. And that's when the Chiefs had that huge defensive touchdown. They threw it behind the line of scrimmage to Tyreek, and he gets stuffed there and fumbles the ball. So I think the Chiefs are going to be ready for that. And yeah, if he's not dropping back, if he's doing quick passes, they have the cornerbacks that can stick those guys quickly. Maybe in the past they didn't have that, but they have that now. And we've seen that all season long. They're able to shut down those number 1 wide receivers. And if he drops back and needs a little bit of time to try to get Tyreek a deep ball, I mean, yeah, they're going to be coming after him. So good luck to him. I don't think it's going to go well for Tua this weekend, though.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, to me, and by the way, I don't know much about this guy. I think he has an early show on FS1. I don't know if it's simulcast on Fox Sports Radio, the Carton Show. Have you ever heard of it or watched it or seen any clips?
I don't think so.
Okay, so I don't think it's like a very well-known show. I don't think a lot of people are aware of it. But I guess one of the guys on that show said the Chiefs can't cover well. So obviously that person watches a lot of football. But
Yeah.
no, they can indeed cover a lot of people. I mean, you've got Trent McDuffie, who's played very good cornerback. L'Jarius Sneed, yeah, sure, he's got the penalties, but he makes up for it by a lot, but not even surrendering a touch this season. And I think when the Chiefs and Broncos played on Thursday night, his name escapes my mind right now. Who's the color commentator next to Al Michaels? He does all those college football games.
Kirk Herbstreit.
Kirk Herbstreit, thank you. So they showed like a video montage of some of the defensive secondary highlights and how they cover guys, because the secondary does not get a lot of interceptions, Mark. They don't get those eye-glowing stats. But what they do is what they do indeed do on defense is they seem to be able to figure out where pass catchers are going. It's almost like they're able to read their routes, and sometimes a single coverage does turn into double coverage on multiple occasions, and they do a good job of shutting down quarterbacks in the reads that they're trying to go deliver the football to. And yeah, as you said, with Tyreek Hill, who obviously we know very well how well he can burn a defense, man, he didn't do any of that against Kansas City in that Germany game. So I'm very excited to see, and I know they're missing Waddle. Obviously, the running back position is a big concern. If Mostert and Achane are available, that is a concern of mine. They can win with those two, and they were running the ball a lot with, I can't remember if it was Mostert or Achane, because one of them was hurt. I think it was Mostert. And they almost came back and won that game. But overall, defensively, I'm excited to see what Kansas City's going to do in this one.
Yeah, they've all season you've seen what Snead does to the number one receiver, Justin Jefferson. I mean, he did get hurt late in that game, but they had him under 100 yards easily in that one. Stephon Diggs didn't do anything. Tyreek Hill didn't do anything. Whoever, that guy that was chirping at us a few weeks ago, Jamar Chase, didn't do anything.
Oh, that guy. He blocked me on Twitter, by the way.
Oh, did he? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I didn't even know he had a Twitter. I swear, I even showed the screenshot of all the times you can put in your name and also his username, and I've never tweeted him once. So that was kind of cool.
Oh man, Jamar Chase. I mean, what was the thing that I don't even want to go into that guy, but they shut him down. I mean, all these number one receivers. You look at the Chargers game. I mean, Keenan Allen didn't even have a catch last game. He didn't play, but Keenan Allen didn't have a catch. So I mean, yeah, you go through all the top receivers that they play, they don't do anything. So they're going to have to get something going on the ground, like you said. Which, by the way, I wanted the Chiefs to play the Steelers this week just because I thought that would be the easier team. But I think that they have a solid running game, which I'm interested to see how they do against the Bills. I think that they might be able to maybe not pull off the upset, but I'm cheering for the Steelers this weekend and their running game. Don't think that Miami will be able to do quite as well as those Steelers running backs. But our linebackers are going to have to be ready for, especially if Mostert's back. Mostert, Achane, Achane. How do you say his name?
Achane, yeah, that's how I've heard it.
They're going to get 40 carries. It just feels like it's going to be one of those games. They're going to be doing short passes behind the line of scrimmage. They're going to try to keep Waddle healthy if he can play, but it's the linebackers are going to have to stay focused, hit their lanes, not play undisciplined. And get after it.
Yeah, I mentioned they're missing some guys on the offensive side of the football. If we want to go to the other side of the ball and talk about the Chiefs' offense against this Miami defense, dude, they are banged up at the worst time possible. And by the way, I'm just looking online and reading all of the reactions. Xavier Howard is not playing. They've got some guys on the defensive front who are going to be unavailable. And in fact, a lot of their defensive ends are going to be former Chiefs players. Ingram, Justin Houston just got signed today. I mean, I don't think he needs to learn a whole lot to get after the quarterback. Just do what you've been doing your whole career. But he only had half a sack in 7 games this year. Emmanuel Agba, he played for the Chiefs for a little bit. He's also going to be a key part of their defense. They're relying on a lot of backups. And I know Kansas City's tackle play has not been good, so I think both sides are kind of being optimistic with that. The fact that the Chiefs have bad tackle play against a lot of backup pass rushers, something's got to give, though. I mean, you would think that one side is going to beat the other. So the offense has been so weird. You already know this, Mark. We've gone over it so many times. Text conversations on social media with a bunch of other people. Rich Eisen said it perfectly. If you catch the damn ball, you're going to be very hard to beat. I mean, that's really all it is, man. Like mental focus, the fundamentals, that's what they're failing at right now. And if they can get it together this week and beyond, dude, they're making a deep playoff run.
Yeah, if you look at just to go back to every game this year, the turnovers because of popped up balls from the wide receivers or tight ends or whatever it may be. If you don't do that I know it's big ifs, but if you don't do that in the playoffs, you're probably going back to the Super Bowl, honestly, because you're not giving the other team the ball and giving them more points. You're not on those maybe third downs. If you get some of those drops where you could usually have an extended possession to get more points, it just feels like the Chiefs haven't had that stretch of games yet, but they were going to at some point. And if it's the next 3 games, that's where you want it the most.
Yeah, so that would be wild.
If they just don't turn the ball over, I think they score like the 24 to 27 points, and the defense is good enough to hold them to 20 or less, and they'll win the game.
Yeah. To me, I'm just like, get it together. We're not asking a whole lot here. Marquez Valdes-Scantling, fast guy, and I thought he did some great stuff last year, especially in that AFC Championship game. Kadarius, we know what he's capable of. We saw it last year, and I'm very disappointed with Kadarius Toney. I know coming off the bye, Andy Reid said that he wanted to remind the media, because on Mondays he does the Zoom press conference. He said, "Look, Kadarius Toney had knee surgery at the beginning of training camp." I'm like, yeah, and I can relate because I think I had almost the same exact knee surgery that KT had in the summer. But does that really cause you to drop passes? Because they keep going off his hands and into the hands of the defenders, and that right there is like, I mean, listen, if we're gonna throw it to these guys, at least do it when they're wide open, so at least it's not going off of their hands and into anybody else. That was at least a fortunate case with Marquez in that Bengals game right before halftime. So I don't know, man. What are your thoughts when you hear that kind of thing?
Yeah, I think it was maybe about a month ago on social media, I saw Kadarius Toney at his pro day, and he ran the wickedest route I've ever seen. And then obviously the pro day, he's wide open, he's by himself, and he drops the wide open catch. So I guess this is something that he's done before. Same with MVS. One of my friends who likes the Packers told me when we signed MVS, he's going to drop about 3 or 4 passes throughout the season that you're going to be like, dude, you should have caught that. It should have been a touchdown. What are you doing?
Yeah.
So I was warned about these guys from the other fan bases that they came from, but I always have a little bit of optimism that we can do something a little extra with them, especially come playoff time. I've seen MVS have a good playoff game. I've seen Kadarius Toney have a good playoff game. So I mean, it does just come down now to focus and doing your job. Yeah.
Yeah, man, that's the thing to me. And look, I know, what I'm hearing a lot of people say recently, Mark, because obviously now it's playoff time, and you're starting to hear these analysts that are breaking down these games. Obviously, they'll break them down more in detail as the week goes on Thursday and Friday. But I'm hearing a lot of people, still say, hey, can this team figure it out? If they figure it out, they're going far. Well, what I'm hearing a lot of people say now outside of Kansas City, I'm talking the national media, I'm not talking, 8-10, 6-10 or any of that. People are now saying that this Chiefs team, and this is kind of weird to say, but they have the most experience, okay? Yeah, sure. Okay, Flacco's older than Mahomes, but Flacco was, he was just a stay-at-home dad a month ago. So, he's kind of, even though he's playing great, he's still kind of like getting acclimated back into things. The point I'm trying to make here is that a lot of people in the media today, guys like Pat McAfee, Rich Eisen, Chris Collinsworth, Stephen A. Smith even, these are all supposedly Chiefs haters, but they're all talking about how in the playoffs, it's a whole new ball game. It's a different animal. And I think that's what a lot of people outside of Kansas City is they're all kind of expecting is that, it has not been a good year offensively with those major drops that are being game killers, but in the playoffs, they're just gonna flip a switch. That, I think, is what a lot of people, even in Kansas City, are now hoping happens is, okay, it's playoff time. You got to get your shit together, essentially.
Yeah, and that's what it's going to come down to. I mean, if maybe not against the Dolphins, because I think it's going to be tough for the Dolphins to win at Arrowhead, but if the Chiefs have to go on the road at Buffalo, any sort of turnovers that give the Bills an advantage. I mean, we saw what happened when they came to Arrowhead. That's just, I mean, line up offsides. I mean, come on. Offensive offsides. I don't even want to get into that, but I mean, come on. Let just focus and line up right, catch the ball, just do your freaking job, right? That's basically what it comes down to. Focus in the playoffs is what it's gonna come down to, and the Chiefs can go as far as they want with the proper focus and just getting it done.
Let's talk about potential future games. I know everyone's going to say, "Oh, one game at a time." Yeah, but we're not players, so we can talk about whatever we want.
We can think about the future.
So listen, the way the Chiefs have been winning games lately, I think they can get away with that this week. I would prefer to see a balance, but they can get away with it this week. The following week, and I think the Bills are actually going to blow out the Steelers. A couple of people have been saying what you've been saying, that it's going to be close. I just don't see it. They are depleted. The Steelers are depleted in so many areas. But I will say this: if the Chiefs do go to Buffalo, and I have my concerns in that one, and I don't care where the game is, I'm picking the Chiefs, man. I mean, at that point, it's like, look, Josh Allen, his numbers have actually gone down during this winning streak that they've been on. And don't get me wrong, props to the Bills. They got hot at the right time. But 2 weeks ago against the Patriots, he played a horrendous game throwing the football. He did kind of make up for it by running for multiple touchdowns. In this game against the Dolphins, that special teams play did wake them up, but he still committed 3 turnovers. Like, I know Bills fans are focusing so much on the scoring, and don't get me wrong, that is important, but you're still committing a shit ton of turnovers.
Gonna bite them.
I don't see. Well, what'd you say?
It's gonna bite them.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I don't see the Bills going very far beyond the Steelers. I would gladly put money down right now that the Chiefs would beat the Bills on the road.
Yeah, I think I agree with you there. It's strange with Josh Allen because he kind of, I think it was Chris Collinsworth kind of described this on Sunday night. He's kind of got that Brett Favre where he'll throw 5 interceptions, but he'll get 3 touchdowns when you need it, which that's fine. But if you play a defense like the Chiefs, if you throw 5 interceptions, you're losing the game. That's just how it's going to be. So the Chiefs offense isn't what they have been in the past, but if you give the Chiefs 5 extra possessions, they're going to win the game. That's just how it is.
All right, man. I'm going to let you go in a moment here, but before we end this whole thing, I'll give my score prediction tomorrow on the Chiefs Zone podcast, which will be live Wednesday night at 7. But I want to know from you, how do you think this game's going to pan out, and what's your final score for tomorrow, or for Saturday rather?
Yeah, I think the Chiefs are going to win it. It's going to be I think a lower scoring game, just because that's what we've kind of gotten used to with the Chiefs. And I know the Dolphins fans think they can score a lot, but in this cold game weather, I don't think it's going to happen. I'm going to say Chiefs win it 23-14.
Okay. All right. I will say right now, my score is not too far off from yours. By the way, I forgot one more thing. Do you have a few more minutes?
Yeah.
Okay. So the Peacock thing, we have to get into that. Let me just say this, because I made a comment that I guess rubbed people off the wrong way. I said something to the effect of how it's just a few bucks. Just get it, because apparently there's no free trial. So get it, and then just make sure you cancel right away. That way you don't get charged for a second month. People did not like that. Listen, I'm not defending the NFL for this. In fact, I'm not even upset at the NFL for this, because we are going in a new age media, right before our very eyes. I do agree, and I said this in the offseason, and Mark, help me if I'm forgetting anything. I think I'm going to get all of them. But in order to watch Thursday Night Football, you need Prime. If you want to watch every single Sunday game possible, you need Sunday Ticket. And I think Sunday Ticket on YouTube TV, they had some flaws. So you know how during a blowout, they would switch games? It would actually switch it for the out-of-market people, too, so they could not watch the rest of that game. So they got to fix that.
Yeah.
But you need YouTube TV. For a couple of the international games, you needed ESPN+. There was one game exclusively on Peacock recently, and I think now we have this game. So you need 4 different streaming services if you are like me and you want to watch every single football game. Now, I already have those streaming services for other purposes. So like with ESPN, a lot of UFC fights. With Peacock, a lot of WWE events. By the way, for those of you who get the 1 month of Peacock, stay for the Royal Rumble. Trust me, you're going to like it.
Rock's back, right?
Allegedly, I don't have spoilers. I don't know anything, but yeah, he's supposedly going to come back. So hopefully, if you're a Dwayne Johnson fan or The Rock, whatever you want to call him, catch it there. Anyway, Mark, we're getting off topic. The point I'm trying to make here is, look, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. This is going to happen to the Super Bowl one day. And guess what? They're not going to do the whole thing where, the 2 competing cities, you'll be able to catch it on one of their local stations. No, they're going to make it a completely exclusive on Paramount Plus, Peacock, Fox Sports Go, ESPN, whatever network is airing the game. I know it's not a very popular thing to hear, but we are going in that direction.
Yeah, and I actually had to, I think it was it on Fox I think whenever it was on CBS one year, I had to get Paramount Plus because the TV that I had at the time, my rabbit ear antennas weren't working. So I had to download Paramount Plus so that I could watch the Super Bowl that the Chiefs were in.
Oh, yeah.
So that was kind of annoying, but I just did the free trial, like you said, and was able to watch it, and it was fine. But for Peacock, I downloaded it a couple of years ago to watch the Olympics. So I've already used my free trial up. So this is the problem now. I was supposed to be driving to Iowa this weekend with my family to see my in-laws and to do a Christmas celebration up there. And we didn't know the Chiefs were going to be playing on Saturday, let alone on Peacock. So I'm texting my brother-in-laws and I'm like, hey, fellas, one of you have Peacock, or one of you sign up for Peacock so that we can watch the Chiefs game Saturday night? So one of my brother-in-laws will have Peacock. So if we end up going to Iowa, depending on the weather and all that, I'll at least be able to watch it on Peacock up there in Iowa. Otherwise, I saw the map. You have to be literally in the Kansas City, like 4-corner, whatever you want to call it, with the like Johnson County, Wyandotte County, Jackson County.
If you get KSHB, then yeah, you will get the game on a local channel. Yes.
Yeah, you can get it on KSHB. But even if you're in Topeka, it won't let you get it. If you're in Wichita, you can't get it. If you're in, I know Des Moines a little bit farther, but you can't get the Chiefs game on a local channel. So, St. Louis, Springfield, you can't get it. So a lot of Chiefs fans are going to be upset that they can't watch it on the local NBC. But you got to be, in the local 41 Action News or whatever their name is now. 41.
Yeah. Listen, Joshua is saying it's not the money, it's the principle. I get that. And listen, I just said 4 different streaming services. That is kind of wild. Now I'm hearing different reports. If you have NFL Plus, you can watch every single game in the regular season. Doesn't matter if it's Thursday night or an ESPN Plus exclusive game. NFL Plus supposedly lets you watch everything live. Now, I don't use NFL Plus for that, but I know that option is available. I'm hearing conflicting reports as to whether or not NFL Plus will work for Thursday night now or Saturday night. Why do I keep saying Thursday? Which, by the way, is not a good idea anyway, because NFL Plus does not have a TV app. And listen, no one likes to watch big games on their phones. So, you're going to have to fork over the $5.99 or whatever it is for just a regular subscription. Yeah, I know it's not fun. Here's another good point. This is from Eric. The negative is, okay, so if you get notifications like I do, actually turn off notifications because there's already a delay anyway. Adam Teicher is like always, he has to be first to announce that there's a touchdown. It's him and Matt McMullen, it feels like.
They're in the press box, so they see it like 30 seconds before everybody else.
Yeah. So now consider streaming services, and that is even more delayed. So yeah, no, Eric makes a good point. Those people are going to be behind. By the way, Mark, I've talked about this before, and I got some comments about this. There are people who like live out in the country, and in those areas, you don't have the best Wi-Fi. Internet providers are going to have to start like upping their game a little bit, because there are a lot of people who are going to cut the cord if they haven't done so already. And there are a lot of people who want to sign up for whatever streaming service you need so you can watch NFL and Major League Soccer, UFC, wrestling, whatever, live, because this is going to be the only way for some of those streaming services. So this doesn't get talked about often, and it should, but internet providers do need to improve their services, if we're being honest here.
Yeah, that's 100% true. Like up in Iowa, like I was saying, like my brother-in-laws, they live in Des Moines, but my wife's parents, they live in a farming community, and yeah, they get I think they get Dish out there, but they cannot get streaming stuff out there. It just doesn't work. So even like when there's storms and stuff, their Dish goes in and out. So it's like it's tough for them out there if they're gonna cut the cord and not have the Dish. They're gonna have some sort of upgrade on the streaming and the cable and the internet, because it just doesn't work. And I know that some people have talked about that, like politically, like there's like talks of like making a nationwide broadband and stuff like that, but that's way beyond my pay grade. But there's talks about like getting like the president involved and like trying to help these like rural places be able to get better internet access. But that's another topic, I guess.
Yeah. Maybe you and Pete can discuss that on KCMO one of these days.
Yeah.
By the way, I have not had we've texted and whatnot. I have not had a chance to congratulate you in person. So congratulations to you and your family on the birth of your newborn. Very exciting times for you guys. I think I heard you were on KCMO. You were talking about how it's been a while since you guys had a kid. So I'm very curious to know this. This is not me trying to be funny at all or anything, but is there like this moment where like you kind of forget how to take care of a newborn and the do's and don'ts, or is everything like second nature? Like you guys, is it easy all over again? I don't want to say easy, but right.
Yeah. It pretty much clicked right away. Like in the hospital, it's always like kind of weird in the hospital being like, all right, this is such a small baby. I don't want to hurt this baby. I'm going to let the nurses take care of it the first couple of days, or her. We have a girl. So I'm like, yeah, we'll let the nurses take care of her. And, once we get home, we'll do everything else. But yeah, it's been a pretty seamless transition. I mean, it's always tough with newborns. They like to stay up super late and sleep a lot during the day. So, we're taking shifts. Like if you see me tweeting at 3:30 in the morning, that's why. I'm just up, watching random stuff and holding a baby in my left arm and tweeting with my right hand. So yeah, that's just, I mean, that's the nature of it. I was lucky enough, I will say, shout out to Cumulus Media, the company with the radio station that I work at, because I was able to get 6 weeks off work. So I still have another week to go before I have to go back to work, which is super helpful for my wife, especially having to deal with everything else. And we have 2 other daughters, so being able to take them to their sports practices and games and things like that, it's been super helpful. And with the other 2 girls, I had like 1 or 2 days off work, and then I was right back to it. So this has been extra helpful this time around for sure.
Well, good, man. And hey, good on them. It's good to know that there are companies that do that kind of thing, because not enough companies do that. I've heard a lot. I mean, I'm no parent, but I've heard a lot of stories about that kind of thing. So that's good that they've been that they've been nothing but helpful with that kind of thing. And by the way, I apologize. I don't remember her name, but you guys took the first initial of all the grandparents, which I thought was very creative.
Yeah, so her first name's Isley, which is actually, I first heard that name from a band that I liked back when I was in college. So I just liked the name, and my wife liked the name, and we both liked the band. So we're like, all right, Isley's the first name. And then we came up with Beck as the middle name, because that's also a band name, which is also kind of funny, but it's the acronym for all 4 of our parents. So Bruce, Ed, Kathy, and Karen. That's all of our parents' names. So spells it out, Beck, and it works. So Isley Beck is her name.
That is awesome, man. All right. Mark, real quickly before we get out of here, how can people follow you on social media?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, at Mark the Overseer. I have a Facebook page at Mark the Overseer. I need to post more on there. Mostly it's just Chiefs articles I write and some KU related podcasts and article stuff that I do on there. But yeah, it's a good time. I like to live tweet during Chiefs games and other stuff like that. So follow along if you want.
All right. Good stuff, man. Hey, Mark, it's always fun talking to you, doing these kinds of things, and I'm sure we'll do it again sometime, man. You take care of yourself, and hey, it's going to be the weather's going to be crazy this weekend. Dolphins fans are already trying to start a petition to move this to Indianapolis because that's what Dolphins fans do, I guess. They complain. Only Chiefs fans complain, though, supposedly. But hey, man, enjoy the game this Saturday. Be safe driving around, and we'll do this again sometime.
Sounds good. Thanks, man.
All right. Take care, guys. We will be back. I'll be back tomorrow. We'll do the Chiefs Zone tomorrow, 7 p.m. Talk to you all then. Take care.